It is interesting to examine the differences between the solutions from the original Fair software and the EViews software. There are differences here because there are differences in the algorithms which are detailed in the handbook for the multi-country model. For example, suppose we look at real GDP for the US economy. If we type in show GDPR, this will give us the solution from the original Fair software, and then GDPR_0 gives us the solution using the EViews software. If we want to look at the percentage difference between the two, then I can also put in 100 multiplied by GDPR divided by GDPR_0 minus 1, then hit return, and this gives me the two solutions from the Fair software, the EViews software, the percentage difference between the two. And we see that although the solutions are very similar, there is a difference between the two, but that difference is never particularly large. It never gets more than 0.5% of the original series. We can also examine the relationship between the Fair solution and the EViews solution by plotting the two solutions on the same graph. To do this, we type plot GDPR, which is the Fair solution for GDP, and GDPR_0, which is the EViews solution. If we hit return, we see that they are very similar. The blue line here is the Fair solution, the red line is the EViews solution. The problem is that although the differences may be very small in terms of the levels of the series, these differences can produce quite noticeable differences when it comes to calculating growth rates. So for example, if we want to look at the growth rate of US GDP, we type in PC GDPR4, which will give us the Fair solution for the growth rate, and PC GDPR4_0, which gives us the EViews solution. And if we plot these two, if we look at these two series, we see that again they're fairly similar, but now there is a much more noticeable difference between the two series. If I was to plot them, you can see the differences more clearly. We go to View, Graph, Single Graph here, and we look at the two series, then we see that the red line, which is the EViews solution, the blue line, which is the Fair solution, have a very similar pattern, but there are noticeable differences, particularly at the peak here. After about 2 years into the simulation, we see that there is quite a noticeable difference between the two solutions.